room. I'm actually overwhelmed by what I see right now. Every single person in this place is proof that we can do hard things. Show me someone who has done something worthwhile, and I will show you someone that has overcome adversity. Lou Holtz said that. And there is nothing more worthwhile than continuing the legacy of life. My name is Jan Jones, and I am so honored to be here and share just a little bit of my story of how a family just like yours changed my life. You know, there is no sorrow like a sad goodbye. None of us are exempt from it. We all have experienced loss and grief. I know all too well that heartache. I have lost many people in my life that I love dearly, but two that just felt unbearable were when I lost my dad, and then just a few short years later, I lost my brother. You know, it is something that we have to go through, this pain, this grief. There is no shortcut through grief, but we can process it, we can come through it, and I encourage everyone not to park at that pain. Whether our loved one was taken quickly or whether they slipped away slowly, it can feel unbearable. But part of the reason is because we live on this side of glory where we are constantly saying goodbye. Corrie ten Boom once said that the measure of a life, after all, is not its duration, but its donation. So powerful for this family that we are all in. You know, if you think about it, grief really is love with nowhere to go. But you found somewhere to put that love. You supported organ donation. You carried on that legacy of life and of hope. And what is legacy? If we want to nutshell what legacy is, it is the long-lasting impact of another person's life. And we leave a legacy, but we build it while we're here. And our loved ones that are no longer with us, their legacy is really what lights the way for us to be able to move forward. So I'll share a little bit of my journey, and it actually began when I was just 8 years old, unbeknownst to me, that I was going to have this incredible health journey. But I got diagnosed at age 8 with type 1 diabetes. There was no family history whatsoever. They said that a virus attacked my pancreas and completely shut it down. So from that day forward, I was an insulin-dependent type 1 diabetic. Now, I know you don't know me very well, but I was always a very strong-willed child. My parents would say stubborn, but I like strong-willed. It just sounds a little better. But I was determined, even at that young age, that I would not be defined by that disease. In fact, you rarely heard me say that I was a type 1 diabetic. What you would hear me say is that I had type 1 diabetes. It was very different in my mind. I mean, I'm Jan. I was so much more than just that chronic, deadly disease. So, with this mindset and the full support of my amazing family, I decided that I was never going to let this disease slow me down. Yeah, you can giggle a little at that, and you can even say this with me. Never say never. Life happens. And this disease, although I was compliant, was just throwing so many complications my way. I was in a coma for a week one time. I've had wounds that wouldn't heal. I have had infections that spread into my bone, PICC lines for months on end. I almost lost a foot one year. I've had major eye surgeries, all because of type 1 diabetes. But God brought me through all of that through the amazing vessel of healthcare. He used it in a mighty, mighty way in my life. And then one day, at a routine doctor's visit, my doctor was looking at some test results, and he just hung his head low, and he said, "Oh, no." And I said, "What?" He said, "Jan, you are in total end-stage renal failure, and you needed a transplant yesterday." Now, I don't know about you, but transplant, organ donation, these were not on my radar. They weren't even in my vocabulary. Yet here I was hearing these words. So just out of pure shock, I just listened, and he was making all these appointments for me. And then I got to my car, and I knew exactly what was going on. It was a mistake. It had to be a mistake. I mean, my name is Jan Jones. It's like the most common name in the world. The lab, bless their heart, they had made a mistake, and they were going to call me, they were going to apologize, and we were going to move on. It wasn't a mistake. Here I was, hearing these words. My world was turned upside down once again, and I just thought, okay, I'm going to do everything that I can. And I began the evaluation process to get on this wait list. And one day, I made it to the wait list. And y'all know how it feels to wait. It's terrible. We live in this world of instant gratification anyway, but to wait, I felt like someone had hit the pause button on my life, and I just wanted so badly to hit the play button. I was in this in-betweenness, and I know we can all relate to that. We live in this in-betweenness when we lose people that we love. We're in between the loss and the grief and the being able to find our new normal. It will never be normal again, but to move forward and find that new normal, and we're in this really icky space. That's a technical term, by the way. I'm just kidding. But I was in this in-betweenness, and I was just doing everything I could to hang on, to listen to my providers, and I was on this wait list, and I'm definitely a take action kind of girl, and I had so many questions. Number one, who has this list? And then, what number was I on this list? And the most important question is, how do I move up on this list? But, as we all know, there are so many questions in our lives, and we just don't get the answers. And what do we do then? Well, we surround ourselves with loved ones, people that care for us and pour into us, and we surrender our lives to the will of God. We have to know, we have to believe, we have to trust that the will of God will never take us where the grace of God cannot sustain us. So I did that, and then one day I did get that call. I got the call that there was a match for me, and I am on Team Alabama, so I'm right here in Birmingham, and I rushed to UAB, and that was the day that I became a double organ transplant recipient. Not only, thank you, not only did I receive a kidney that saved my life, but I also received a pancreas. I have a pancreas that now produces insulin, so I'm standing here no longer suffering from type 1 diabetes. I have a kidney that functions, a pancreas that produces insulin, and it would never have happened without a donor and his family. You all make the impossible possible. I mean, I am no longer attached to an insulin pump. I no longer feel like a human pin cushion pricking my finger multiple times a day to get those glucose readings, and I can eat whatever I want to eat. I've never been able to do that.
That's the best part.
It is all because a family like you knew what to do with that grief, that love that has nowhere to go. They poured it into other people's life. You know, something I say all the time is today's decisions are tomorrow's realities. And if you think about it, every choice that we make, we are setting things into motion. And sometimes we know right away that we made the right choice, right? We see that positive impact. And then sometimes it takes a little while, but we know that something happened because of a choice we made. And then sometimes we never see the result of the choices that we make. But I can promise you there is always a ripple effect for every decision that we make. And however far you think that ripple reaches, it's 10, 100, 1,000, a million times further. I mean, I've talked to so many amazing people at these games, and I've had several conversations about these kidney chains. People that want to be a living donor and give a kidney. And because one person decided to do that, somebody got a kidney, and then they found a kidney for someone else, and they found a kidney for someone else. And it all got set in motion because of one person. And these chains are never ending. I'll give you another perfect example of that phrase. Today's decisions are tomorrow's realities. My donor. His decision to be a donor made my reality life. He had no idea when that choice was going to be put into action. And he certainly had no idea whose life it was going to impact. But I am forever grateful. It is so courageous of the families that support this cause, and they continue this legacy of life. I will tell you that when I got that call and I rushed to UAB, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but we lost my father just a few months before I got the word that I was in renal failure. And I was a daddy's girl. So it was tough. My mom and I did not know what we were going to do or how we were going to do this. I had not met my amazing husband, Jim, yet. And we had a great support, but I just remember when I got that call and family and friends were rushing to be by my side. And one of my preachers was right there with me. And he gave me the perfect image. He said, Jan, I just see your dad in heaven running to your donor and thanking him for what he did for his daughter. I know one day I will get to thank him too. But for now, I am going to continue running this race because I'm not just running it for me, I am running it for him as well. It has been said that I live in my own little world, if you haven't picked up on that. And, you know, my friends, I won't go into all the details, but it's a happy place. It doesn't mean it hasn't been met with a lot of challenges. But my friends, years and years ago, they gave it a name. And they call it the Janiverse, so welcome to the Janiverse. But you know, when I think about the Janiverse and what my donor and his family did for me, it's not just me, it is my entire world. I saw my mother be able to exhale after I really started making it through the recovery. To see this miracle, I have a community that I'm involved in. My church, my career, my friends, my family, every single part of the life that I'm able to live because of my donor is impacted by his decision. You know, I mentioned earlier that there is no sorrow like a sad goodbye. And it is because we are on this side of heaven, where it feels like we have to say goodbye a lot. But one day, our farewells will turn into hellos. There will be no more pain. There will be no more tears. There will be no more separation. Our heartbreak will fade, and our hallelujahs will be lifted up. Thank you so much for your fearlessness, for your courage, and for supporting your loved one as they built their legacy and as they have left this legacy of life. If you will, let's just say hallelujah together. Hallelujah. Thank you so much.